Welcome to Patagonia. You joined me here with the Tiger. Thought I'd take it out, give a little walk around, kind of follow up from my last video. I had some questions, so I thought I'd go over kind of what I've done to the bike, what I've done to make it useful for me, you know, kind of what I thought it needed outside the factory and what I've done. So yeah, I'll kind of take you around. Let me start off by saying it's a great bike. If you want to see my review of it, I'll put a link in the description below where you can check it out, or up there in the corner. It's a wonderful bike, both on-road and off-road. She really is glorious. It's really hard to beat. The only issue I really discovered outside the factory is, you know, it's an adventure bike and it's not set up for adventuring. I understand, you know, most people ride this from coffee shop to coffee shop. I do take it to coffee shops, but I do spend quite a bit of time off-road, at least 50%, if not more. So some things I did to kind of get it to that level of off-road riding that I like. Let's start first with the protection. So I went with the Bark Busters. They're just the VPS Bark Busters. They're wonderful. If you've ever used them, you understand, you know, just how important they are. The plastic ones that the bike comes with, they're flimsy, they're gonna break. You're gonna break a lever and be stuck, or potentially be stuck. So that's kind of the first upgrade I did. The mirrors, you know, the standard mirrors are fine. They work. They're a little Mickey Mousey, but you know, that's fine. They're just mirrors. They do work well. The only problem is if you drop the bike off-road and they take a hit, those mirrors are gonna break. These just move out of the way. And that's kind of what you're looking for. I do ride with people from time to time. They throw up rocks, and I know, you know, this LED headlamp isn't the cheapest in the world, so, you know, a little $40 part helps quite a bit to protect that from rocks. It works well. You know, I don't think it's taken too many rocks. If it has, I haven't noticed, but that's kind of the first thing I've done to upgrade it. Crash protection on the side of the bike in case of a drop. You know, like I said, off-road, you're gonna drop the bike. So I went with the SW Motech crash bars here on the side. A lot of people have had issues with other crash bars where, you know, this bolts into the engine mount, or even down here as well. And those have sheared off in the past. And, you know, there's been quite a few riders that had that sheared off. And if you're shearing off bolts in the engine block, you know, you're doing really no good for yourself. That's not protection in my mind. That's a hazard. So, you know, this protects it well enough. I did wish they went a little bit higher to kind of protect up here. But I can understand why they didn't. You know, it's just physics. Makes a lot of sense. I also went with the SW Motech bash guard, and that bash guard I think looks great. Honestly, it's nice and thick. You can see, you know, it's definitely done its job against the mud here. And you know, I've hit quite a few rocks and haven't really noticed any dings. You can definitely hear it when a rock pounds off this, and it's sturdy. You know, you can hit a pretty good rock going fairly fast, and it can take it. You know, I think those are musts, you know, both with this bash guard here and these crash bars on the side. I have dropped the bike, and you can kind of see where it's scuffed up, but you know, it comes with the territory if you ride off-road. Additionally, for protection and luggage, I went with the Outback Motech Pannier rails, and I went with them because I do have the Kriega bags, and they slide right in there nicely. But also they provide a great level of protection, both because they obviously have the outer frame, but they do have this cross base that you can use for roto packs for water or fuel. But also if you do drop the bike, you know, that's added protection on both sides. Like I said, I have dropped the bike, and you know, you do scratch up the passenger foot pegs, but it's nothing. Also on the back, I went with the Outback Motech, I don't even know what that's called, but basically pannier rack up here on the back for a top case, or really anything else. You know, it adds a little bit of protection to these turn signals here. Not much, but you know, it's something that looks pretty good and does fit the Kriega bag very well that I have. And I'll put links to the bags I use and all these parts on the bike here in the description for you to check out. So one thing I noticed and got a few comments on is I do have the Garmin XT mounted up here. It's a great mount. If I turn on the key, you can see it comes on as well. And how that's wired is you have to wire it to the back SAE plug. and this one down here, that is a hassle. So I basically wired it through the bike, under the seat, and into that, just with some taps, and that worked really well. You know, it works fine. I don't really use that one, but you know, I did check it. The power still goes, it still operates, and can handle most things. How I mounted the Garmin is just with a 3D printed mount I made. You know, there's quite a few online you can pull. I'll put links to some below, but Thingiverse is a great place. Mine is pretty janky, to say the least, so I don't really want to offer it to you, but it does work really well. And this bar is more than stable enough to support it. The only issue is, you know, you can't grab the bar to adjust the windscreen. So what I do is I just grab it from the top. You know, it pulls right up, no problem. Push it forward, goes down. You know, nice and simple function. You know, it's not going to get in your way. Now, some small things with the bike that, you know, I don't really like, that I think Triumph possibly could have done better, and where I think is kind of, you know, some necessary items. The first thing, the quick shifter is great. It really does. It's a wonderful feature, and I definitely recommend it. And, you know, if you have the Rally, I don't believe it comes with it. This is the Rally Pro, but if you're thinking about getting it, or if it's a pricey option, let me tell you, just get it. I think it adds a lot of value to the bike in terms of resale, but also it's a wonderful feature. The only issue I found is riding off-road, I do occasionally get the false neutral. So if I'm going from first to second and I click it maybe not hard enough or at the wrong time, it just goes into neutral. And in an off-road riding scenario, that's not what you want. Or additionally, going from second to first, it will also pop into neutral from time to time. It does happen, I'd say 1 out of 20 times between first and second. But it's something you just got to be aware of and understand that that's going to happen, and it may work in over time. You know, I have about 1,000 miles on the bike, or about 1,600 kilometers, and it's still doing that quite actively. But something to pay attention to and think about. But definitely get the quick shifter. It's completely worth it. You know, I've ridden Africa Twin DCT, and that's awesome too. It's definitely different than your standard manual bike, but I find the quick shifter is a nice hybrid between the two. So something you just want to keep in mind if you're thinking about it. Definitely do it. You know, highly recommended. The chain guard, you know, the bike's a little bit muddy. You can see I do ride off-road. I did go with the SW Motech chain guard, and I like it. You know, the standard one from the factory is all plastic, and you can tell, you know, it takes one rock, and, you know, mine was already cracked immediately. If you do ride off-road, that rear shock is going to get quite dirty. You know, you can see mine is fairly clean. And the reason why is because of that mud guard there. It's, I believe, from Pyramid Plastics. Again, there'll be a link in the description. But it's really a lifesaver when it comes to keeping mud and gunk and rocks out of that rear shock. I kept the stock exhaust. I didn't really feel a need. I think the bike sounds great, so, you know, why spend $500 plus on something if it does sound good? The heated seats, they're wonderful when it's cold. You know, if you're looking for the option, you want to go on long distance tours and it is a little cold, go for it. Completely worth it in my mind. It's definitely something you want to consider. Now, the stock tires it comes with, and I talked about this a bit in the previous video, and again, you can check that out, the link in the description. The standard tires, you know, they're on-road tires. They're great from coffee shop to coffee shop, and incredibly light off-roading. You know, I would say even fire roads, be careful. But any gravel tracks, you're probably fine if it's packed gravel, much like here. So I put on these, and these are the Dunlap Trail Max Missions. I ride 50/50. They say they're a 50/50 tire, and I love them. They are great tires. Just out of the box, in my mind, they're perfect. They do everything I want. The only issue I have with them is in the mud. They're not the best mud tire. You know, you definitely have some knobs in there, and it does sling the mud out, as you can see by the dirtiness of my bike a little bit. But you know, they're not mud tires. Get in really muddy situations, just be careful. But you know, how often are you in those? I also did add some radiator guards. The plastic ones are, well, plastic. One rock it's through, and you can see by the mud, it does throw stuff up there. Or, you know, if you're riding behind somebody, they kick something up, you know, keep that in mind. But beyond that, you know, just with the protection irons I've added, you know, it's not the cheapest thing to do, but if you're gonna ride off-road, I think it's necessary. Beyond that, the TFT screen, perfect off-road. You know, everything else, it works really well off-road. Those brakes, man, racing brakes on an adventure bike, that is a great idea, and they work very well. Very happy with them. The screen also. So I hope that helps, you know, kind of show you what I've done to the bike, some accessories that I think are worth it, and definitely worth your time and things to consider. You know, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you liked it or found this useful, please give it a like. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see, you know, more videos like this, or even me taking it up in the mountain back there behind the camera, you know, let me know. I'm happy to do those things and show you anything about the bike. All right, hope to see you in the next one.